Jesus, what the f was that about?
I gave her a cup of tea.
Here's our list of the 10 most intense scenes from Baby Reindeer. Warning, number 1 might just have your skin crawling once again. Number 10, the bar scene. At the start of episode 6, we see Donnie's circumstances go from bad to worse to rock bottom. After the police had put him on equal footing with Martha and Terry decided she wanted nothing more to do with him.
Are you breaking up with me? Because of her?
No. Because of you.
He was sure things couldn't possibly get worse. However, that's exactly what they got when Martha showed up at the pub again. There, she continued her harassment, even showing one of the customers videos of Donnie's comedy shows. Donnie had had enough, so he in turn told the customer to look up the headline of a stalker harassing a deaf child.
Why don't you Google something else? Serial stalker torments barristers, deaf child.
Martha's cheery smile soon faded into a hauntingly cold stare before hitting him with a glass and trying to blind him. This wasn't the first time she had been violent in a bar, but now Donnie himself was the only target of her rage, and there was no denying he'd reached a whole new low, one in which he was utterly and completely alone. Number 9, the bus stop. After weeks of Martha sitting outside his house day and night, catcalling and stealing glimpses, Donnie suddenly noticed her descend into silent staring that was eerily similar to what you see in a horror movie. With her gaze fixed on nothing in particular and her lack of speech entirely, Donnie started to feel bad for her all over again. As if her continence wasn't scary enough, Donnie couldn't find a better time than 3 a.m. to approach her and ask what was wrong. And as he inched closer and closer, the tension of the unknown kept us on the edge of our seats. How long had she been there? Why was she still there? And why was she so quiet? These were questions we never got answers to, nor did Donnie,
I'm gonna take you back to yours, okay?
who instead offered to take her home. Soon, the part of us waiting for some type of jump scare was simply met with how sad her situation really was. Number 8, the runaway. Though his history with Darian had not been revealed before Donnie started seeing Terry in episode 2, we know in retrospect that Donnie was battling feelings of shame and guilt about his sexuality. Though he truly cared for Terry, he had this constant feeling that everyone was watching and judging him, and when it became too much, it culminated in this gut-wrenching scene after Terry asked him to kiss her.
What's it gonna take for you to finally give me a proper kiss?
Donnie gets off the train, leaving Terry standing there, hurt and confused, with absolutely no explanation at all. Not the reaction anyone would hope for after asking for a first kiss, but Donnie's night was actually about to get far worse than hers. Number 7, the groping. In one of Martha's poorest timings, she shows up while Donnie heads home from that train wreck of an evening, demanding to know why he's pushing her away. Donnie's in no mood to entertain her this time, but she suddenly asks him if it was a man that hurt him, acting as a form of foreshadowing for one of the hardest scenes to watch in the whole show. In his usual fashion, Donnie tries to deny it and run away from her, but she continues to pursue him, playing her own diluted version of tag. Then it happens. She pins him to the wall and suddenly gropes him without his consent. This scene is intense because we soon discover that it was reminiscent of the days he spent utterly powerless and unable to tell his molester to stop. Number 6, the sentencing. In a long overdue positive turn of events, Martha was finally arrested and charged in court. During her plea hearing, Donnie couldn't help but watch what the outcome of their twisted relationship was to be, but it was not what he or any of us were expecting. In one of Martha's more seemingly genuine moments, she tearfully pleads guilty to all charges brought against her.
Are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty? My little reindeer.
In every other instance of her obsession being brought up, Martha had either resorted to violence or feigned complete ignorance of it. But now, you could almost feel sorry for her as she calls out for her little reindeer. Number 5, the breakdown. Throughout the series, Donnie's struggling comedy career was the undertone to the rest of his chaotic life. However, the comedy competition he had hoped would finally transport him to stardom would indeed do so, but not in the way he had hoped. Following a poorly received opening to his bit,
All right, okay, so here's a little teapot, short and stout. Here is its handle, here is its gout.
Donnie pulled up a stool and broke down with the truth of his stalker, his abuse, his loss of Terry, and everything wrong in his life.
Moreover, I see why I messed it up in the way that I did. And it's because of this, right? It's because I loved one thing in this world more than I did her, right? One thing. And do you know what that one thing was? Hating myself.
Though the video would eventually go viral, allowing him opportunities to further his career, the moment itself left not only the audience with their hands over their mouths, but ours too. Number 4, the first outburst. In episode 1, we were introduced to Martha.
You have to buy something.
Can't afford something.
Right, not even a cup of tea.
No.
All right, well, how about I give you a cup of tea on the house?
A cheery woman who often kept Donnie company at the pub. As time passed, Donnie figured she was forming an unhealthy attachment to him and tried to nip it in the bud before she got the wrong idea. However, this was when the real Martha came out in this intense scene that left the entire diner uncomfortably quiet.
Names.
Martha, please.
Names.
Martha, please, let go.
Don't you dare!
Donnie might have had his suspicions that Martha wasn't exactly who she said she was, but he couldn't have guessed just how troubled she really was. Number 3, the confession. After Donnie's video had gone viral and it seemed like Donnie was finally about to catch a break, Martha reared her ugly again, this time threatening to tell his parents about the details of the viral video. Donnie knew he had to beat her to it and went home to confess it all to his parents, giving us a tear-jerking moment of vulnerability with his parents.
It's a journey, anyway, but it's one that I need to go on with your support. These past few years have been really difficult. I can't handle it anymore. Keeping it in.
As if this moment couldn't get any more intense, his father also told him that he grew up in a Catholic church and let his eyes do the rest of the telling. Nothing else needed to be said as the two men hugged it out in mutual acceptance of each other. Number 2, the ending. By the end of the series, Martha had been put away physically, but Donnie was far from being done with her. He continued to listen to her voicemails, finding they were the only thing that seemed to bring him peace. It was then that we finally discovered that Martha had a Baby Reindeer toy when she was a kid, which was her sole comfort against the awful things in her life.
It was the only good thing about my childhood. I'd hug it when they fought. And they fought a lot, you know? Well, you are the spit of that reindeer.
In a full circle moment, Donnie shed tears that moved the bartender to look at him with the same pity he had for Martha in episode 1. Number 1, the first assault. Episode 4 came as quite a shock, as even though several elements of the show had hinted at Donnie dealing with something from his past, we certainly weren't ready for what it turned out to be. Donnie formed an unlikely association with a successful TV writer named Darian O'Connor, who promised lofty dreams of fame and success by night, but would rip apart his work by day. Donnie thought his next big break was right around the corner and stuck around Darian, even though all the alarm bells in his head kept telling him something was wrong. Before he knew it, he was repeatedly assaulted anytime he passed out around Darian, who went as far as to sleep with Donnie on at least one of those occasions. But for us, the worst scene was the very first time, when Donnie was puking his guts out and Darian took the opportunity to slide his hand down Donnie's pants. The look of horror followed by pain as Donnie was slowly coming to terms with the situation was nothing short of hard to watch. The only thing harder to watch was Donnie being unable to address the abuse and instead apologize for throwing up. That's it for our list. Which scene was your hardest to watch? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed your journey with the Replay Media, click the box on the screen to find your next binge or favorite movie. Thanks for watching.